Make sure to subscribe to Apillow on YouTube. Very cool content creator.
Hey everyone, before we get into this, I'm sorry for the microphone issues. I left the cord to my microphone at school when I was coming home for the week, and as you can see, I'm home for the weekend, so I left that. Very unfortunate, but that doesn't change what we will be talking about today. So, today we're talking about James Rarewald. If you've been on Lefty Twitter in the past few days, you've definitely seen this TikTok. I want to give my take on it. So, James is a fairly big content creator on TikTok, ostensibly left-wing, positions himself to be kind of, I guess you could say, arguably he's the biggest lefty account on TikTok. Makes little skits, things like that, and I used to watch his content until I realized that he, on very often occasions, says some pretty dumb stuff or signals some pretty dumb politics. And, well, today we're going to be talking about one of those situations. So, this video is called When You Vote the Fascism and Imperialism Away. So, let's watch the video. Also, I should probably mute the music, because I don't know if it's copyright or not, and I'm not taking any chances. So just imagine a chilled out jazz groove over this, okay? So, first we have him, what he's gonna do is he's gonna represent the two sort of wings that exist in the United States. So he's starting off, or even in electoral politics in general, and he's starting off pretty strong with representing, you know, largely who makes up the right wing. So you have corporate oligarchs, political elites, landlords, police, imperialist forces, so like military forces, and fascists. So overall, starting off fairly strong in representing a lot of what constitutes the political right in the United States increasingly, especially the fascist bit, you know? So far, I have no issue with this video. He hasn't signaled anything quite stupid yet, but we're about to hit our first roadblock pretty soon, in my humble opinion. So labor unions, starting off pretty strong, representing more left-wing, more pro-democracy forces in this nation. So let's see where he carries on. This is a good start. Grassroots organizers, okay. They have definitely done a lot to help people out. Let's see who else he points to. Land defenders. It's a little vague. I don't necessarily know what he means by land defenders. There are many things he can mean by that. He could mean environmental activists, but the person who was supposed to be the grassroots organizer was holding a sign that said cut ties with Chevron, so it could be them. Or he could just be getting more specific with land defenders. He could be talking about people, say, defending their land from being bought up by big corporations like BlackRock. It's very vague. That's one of the issues with the medium of TikTok. Like, people complain about streamers being like a little messy with our rhetoric, but at least we have the ability to do it long form. The issue with short form content, the issue with TikTok content in particular, is that when you condense something that small, there's only so much context that you can give, and it can really muddy your message, which happens very often with his videos, I've noticed. Okay, anti-fascists, definitely a political force in this nation that has succeeded in doing a lot of things. We're gonna get back to that later. Anti-imperialists, okay, and socialist revolutionaries, yes sir. So it's from this point that I'm going to say probably not talking specifically about America, because America's history of socialist revolutionaries is not that good. You know, we definitely don't have the best history. So these people are about to ooh, who's this? Who's entering the race? Liberals. Liberals. Okay. So what are the liberals gonna do? What are they gonna do? Oh my god. He has the pen. It's mightier than the sword. He voted the center-right party. He voted? Oh my god. He's peace. Oh god, the fascists. They're falling away. They're disappearing. They're all going away. Just vote. That's all that ever takes. How powerful. And then we get the Patreon plug at the end. So this is clearly supposed to be critical of electoral politics. And it does it in a very dishonest way. In particular, this final message, just vote, that's all it ever takes, in quotes, not really attributed to anyone, so I can't say if that's an actual quote or not. Very convenient. It's a stupid message. So let's talk about why it is a stupid message. And I just realized, right in front of me, I have my voter registration card. It is my registration card, right? I'm not trying to show anything because I don't want to fucking dox myself. Um, yeah, that's my voter registration card. So, state of North Carolina, you get one. Um, this video is deeply stupid because what it is effectively saying is that it's mocking the idea that you can cause any change by voting, that you can do anything, that you can stop the tide of fascism with voting. And I do agree. It is a stupid sentiment to say just vote, that's all it ever takes. Because that's not all it ever takes. You have to do more than voting. You have to go out, you have to organize, you actually have to get messages out, you actually have to go on the streets, help people if you can help people. You actually have to do things to help improve society outside of voting. I do agree. And that is an issue that we have, where sometimes people, all they do is that they vote and they do nothing else. But at the same time, it's definitely gotten us some places. So earlier in this video, what James did, our kind friend James, he brought up some groups of people. Labor unions, of course. Labor unions are famously very opposed to voting. It's not like labor unions have been able to decide whole elections in states where labor unions are a big factor, such as Pennsylvania. They're not important at all. And yeah, like, hey, look, the labor unions definitely aren't filled with liberals, and not at all. Definitely not. There's not a liberal fest going on in the labor unions at all. Yeah, they're the leftiest of the lefts. Okay, yeah, and then grassroots organize. I can't even say anything on land defenders. That's so vague. What does he mean by that? What does James mean by that? But yeah, he brings up anti-fascists as supposedly, with the way this video is framed, it seems like he's pointing out, oh, these are the groups that actually caused the change, and he's pointing out anti-fascists. Yeah. And look, I am an anti-fascist supporter. I am a big Antifa proponent. You know, screw the fascists. If people want to organize against fascists, more than for it. I encourage it, as a matter of fact. Go out there, organize against the fascists, protest against them, stop them from getting the things passed that they want to pass. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, the anti-fascist organization ought to be secondary to voting. Now you may be wondering, why am I saying that? Well, as many people in the comments here have pointed out, as a matter of fact, when the fascists in the United States of America tried to coup the country, The anti-fascists, very famously, were actually not there. Despite what the very disgraced former president tried to say, the anti-fascists, the Antifa, were not there. Yeah? And this is what I really want to talk about here, because I found the quote tweet that I really wanted to look at. But it's a SpongeBob meme. Is Trump a fascist? Yup. And did he lose the 2020 election? Yup. So you can vote out fascism. Voting doesn't work, liberal. Pretty much that's what's going on here. We saw in 2020, and I'm not saying that 2020 was a perfect election. Definitely wasn't. 2020 was the most stressful election cycle that I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. Yeah, in my short lifetime. Whether it be both general election cycles, midterms, elections that I've watched in other countries. 2020 was extremely stressful, and I do wish the outcomes could have been better, but it was a pretty good outcome. And it did show that through electoralism, through electoral politics, you can quite literally vote out fascists. And if the systems maintain in place, if systems of democracy, if systems of sane governance remain in place, there are ways to institutionally combat fascists trying to enter institutions. We saw this on January 6th. We're seeing this in the aftermath of what's going on. Trump, who is a wannabe fascist dictator, is currently being prosecuted and dragged through the mud politically, and legally, I should say, legally, for his attempts to take over this nation as a dictator. And moreover, we've seen a pretty interesting change in the way that liberals engage in rhetoric concerning the threat of fascism in this nation. Um, there's actually a poll that I heard about recently, um, where, in effect, yeah. So this is actually quite interesting. Also, I'm sorry, I have chat up. I just realized this is an off-stream segment, as you might imagine. So this is coming from Axios. Support for political violence jumps in the U.S. survey says. Share who say they agree with the statement American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save the country. And then we see this where there's been a pretty substantial jump where Republicans have always been the most likely to say this and then independents, but Democrats have almost doubled in their statement that yeah, this might be necessary. And that's within 2 years, which is not a very long time polling wise, especially for something that is that divisive. And that points to me, even looking, and of course this is going to be anecdotal, but I'm pretty sure if you're politically locked in, and if you have family members that are on the more liberal side, you've probably seen it yourself, where it looks like increasingly a lot of people who are on the liberal side of the political spectrum, not necessarily the left wing side, um, are saying outright, like, Trump is a fascist. He tried to take over this country and we need to do everything possible to prevent that from happening. And these are people who, yeah, in 2020, probably most of their engagement with politics was voting, maybe tweeting a little bit. It's not like you could really do much in 2020. There were the BLM protests, but what I'm looking at here is a lot of people on the liberal side are waking up to the fact of what we are witnessing. 2020, and the aftermath of the 2020 election was almost like how do I say this without it sounding like really religiously culty? Well, y'all know what I mean when I say this. It was almost like a mass awakening event where a lot of people realized we are, like, especially after January 6th, a lot of people realize, I have a screwdriver in my hands, um, we are scarily close to losing American democracy. We almost lost it on January 6th. And if it wasn't for the systems of governance keeping themselves stable, we would have lost it all. It would have been gone. Um, and we see this in the way that people engage in rhetoric now. I think this idea that we are in a state now, this isn't 2016 anymore. Liberals are not saying just vote, that's all that ever matters, especially not now. Yeah? We have people here saying outright, like, if we need to, political violence is necessary to have to save the country. That is an almost double spike. And yeah, 13%, you might say that that's not high, but for a lot of these people who are milquetoast to say, we need to do this. If push comes to shove, if there is another fascist coup attempt in this country, if there is political violence that is sparking in favor of a right-wing takeover of this country, we need to engage in political violence to save this nation. The fact that that is spiking among a group of people who previously, how many years ago was 2016? 2016 was 7 years ago? Who 7 years ago were saying, just vote or there's no way he can win. The fact that that goal has shifted that much, that position has shifted that much, says a lot about where we're moving politically as a country. I fundamentally reject this idea that James here is trying to say here. Yeah? And I'm not, like, other people have been commenting on his job. I'm not gonna do that. As funny as his bio was, where it's like, I love solving corporate solutions, and like I love, like, whatever it was. He markets for a big company. I'm not gonna say which one because people. Wait, is this it? No, dang it, it doesn't say it. Basically, he markets for like a pretty big company. Um, but yeah, no, this is stupid. This is stupid. And going back to it, yeah. As people are saying, I have the radical opinion that you can be a militant activist on the streets 99.9% of the time every year, and also spend 0.1% of the time spending a tiny fraction of a day voting. Do that. Go out, protest, get petitions signed, try to get bills passed, put pressure on politicians in legal ways. In legal ways. Protest outside of their offices. Don't do anything illegal, please. Jesus Christ. Don't implicate me, okay? Listen. Pillow is not advocating for you to commit a felony, okay? Do what you can. In essence, do what you can to ensure that we can protect our nation and protect our democracy. And part of that is voting. And part of that is not discounting voting as a strategy. Because when you're doing that, look, 2020 was won on some pretty interesting margins. And I'm sure they're going to increase next year, but that can only really happen if you go out and vote. We are at a crossroads in this country. And as much as I wish this wouldn't determine it, if the Republican nominee in 2024, who's looking like it's going to be Trump unless something really happens, if the Republican nominee wins the 2024 election, we're done. And I'm saying this flat out, like, we're done. We're screwed. And this kind of anti-electoral flagellation, this this kind of stuff here, yeah, is not gonna ameliorate any issues, because come 2024, if we lose, that's it. And these ladies and gentlemen, these, oh wait, no audio, yeah, Look, let me just tell you one thing. If the fascists win in 2024, the labor unions can't do shit, the grassroots organizers aren't doing shit, the land defenders, the anti-fascists, the anti-imperialists, and the socialist revolutionaries, they're gonna be the first to get gagged in the back of the head. That's how it goes. And you can stop them by engaging in electoralism. You can stop the fascists by engaging in electoralism, I mean. With that being said, I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't expect it to go this long. But, you know, gotta say what I have to say. I love you all. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Currently, I am sitting 1 subscriber away from 4.5k, which is really exciting. Make sure to comment, you know, what you may want me to cover. You're going to be getting another off-stream segment from me tomorrow since I can't stream tonight. And yeah, I love you all. Make sure to have a nice day and drink water. Peace. Gotta hit the stop recording button.